I guess our vision would be probably threefold. We want to be a place that trains individuals, prepares them for Christian ministry and service. We define that quite broadly. In other words, we're not just about preparing people for being church leaders or pastors or even going to be missionaries, but anyone who wants to take seriously their faith, to grow and develop as an individual Christian, but also to be equipped, prepared to serve God intentionally in this world. Second goal would be to be a community in which both education and spiritual formation takes place, because we would see that Christian training, Christian equipping is not just about learning stuff, even learning good stuff and biblical stuff. It's about the shaping of the person and developing of gifts and practical enabling and so on. And our third goal, a slightly broader one, would be we want to be a resource place for the wider church. We've got individuals who come here, but we feel we've got resources here in terms of our staff expertise, and also, I guess, even some of our students, the stories that they have to share, the things that they have to pass on. In other words, we want to help train and resource the church. Not everyone can come or needs to come for a full-time course, but we can certainly help the church in different ways, we think. So that's our goal. I think that we're kind of distinct from two ways. I mean, there are a number of other good places in Scotland that will provide kind of non-validated training. Someone like Cornhill, someone like Destiny, and Hillsdale College in Motherwell. These sorts of places that will give people, good exposure to Scripture, to practical Christian ministry training, and so on. We would do all of that, but someone who will come and study with us will get a recognised, university validated qualification. Qualifications aren't everything, but they are something, and they count. What it also means is that there's a rigour about what we do. It means we can push people. It can move people out of their comfort zone. The danger about going to a college that has a non-validated program, there are lots of strengths, but the biggest danger I think is that when it's not always going to be as critically rigorous and get people really think about the hard questions. And the hard questions are out there. And because we've got to reach certain standards, we'll push people to face up to those questions. From the other perspective, I guess what makes us distinctive from a university theology faculty is that we can get there's a philosophy of ministry, an idea of what we're wanting to achieve, not just in terms of giving a good theological education, but an all-round shaping and formation for people. So that's where I would see that ourselves, and also Highland Theological College up in the north of Scotland, that in Scotland I think, and maybe the Baptist College too, we'd be unique in that sense. That's be our distinctives. We offer courses really at sort of all three levels. We have undergraduate courses. The majority of our students would be working either on a BA in theology, and within that they can specialise in things like working with children or preaching pastoral ministry, cross-cultural ministry. We have an urban ministry specialism, something on what we call mission leadership, which is really focusing on how we address the contemporary missional challenges, church planting and so on. We have a focused youth and community work degree, which is another BA programme. Students who take that course would do a full sort of theology and youth and community work degree, but they'll also do practical placements on an ongoing basis up to 20 hours a week, so they'll be usually working in a church context. We have some master's level programs. We currently have a master's program in biblical interpretation. That's currently being revised and reshaped, but we'll continue to have something with a focus on biblical studies and ministry application. And then we have a master's on ministry in an urban world. So it's kind of looking at people who are doing mission either in this country or across the world in urban contexts in particular. So that's at a postgraduate level. And then we also offer ability to do research degrees up to PhD level. And that we can cover sort of a wide range of topics depending on who we've got on staff. So biblical studies, theology, mission, some stuff on other religions, a bit of church history and so on. I think it is in lots of ways. I think because church is changing, we see a lot more kind of new churches emerging, church plants, new streams, not necessarily denominations, but streams of church emerging, and some of these new churches have emerged out of a frustration with traditional patterns of church, and therefore they have a frustration with traditional patterns of ministry training. And I think that's one of the reasons why there's more kind of in-house training emerging. And I can exactly see why that's happening. I think a lot of the way we've assumed that we've done ministry training has been we prepare people for to preach and teach and pastor in a congregation that's already there, and it should be doing evangelism in the community and so on. But it's the kind of maintaining and growing what's already there. And because our context has changed in Scotland, right across Europe, we need to be thinking much more intentionally, how do we do mission and how do we prepare people to lead, not just to lead, but to lead and to serve in missional congregations, missional church plants and missional contexts. We want to say, how do we help people to serve and think theologically more widely in the areas of business and society generally. And I think a lot of theological education up to now in Scottish and British and European contexts has been very focused on you train the minister or you train the pastor. We need to think much more about how we train Christians for involvement in the ministry of the kingdom, whether that be in a full-time leadership role or part-time leadership role, or serving in a church or serving in a parachurch group or whatever, but also just enabling and equipping Christians to be able to be authentically Christian and working for the kingdom in their place of work. So just as I guess in churches and in church circles, the phrase we shift from maintenance to mission, that needs to be reflected in the way we do training. So we're wrestling with that. I think we're beginning to get it. I think the potential is there, but it's certainly an ongoing challenge for us to say, how do we do that? Mm-hmm. You don't want to lose the solid stuff that's there. I mean, there's a depth of biblical and theological insight that we've built up over the centuries in this country. If I say it's a heritage of sort of Christian knowledge and understanding, and we don't want to lose that. And the danger is when there's new things starting off, when we're very aware of missional challenges, almost to be impatient and say we haven't the time to do the in-depth work. But if you're going to plant a new church, for example, you've got to have a good theology of understanding what the church is, to know that what you're planting is something that's genuine, authentic and biblical and really reflects the kingdom. So in those kind of ways, we need to keep hold of the good things from the past, but society is changing, the challenges therefore are changing, so theological education has got to change to adjust to that. There are lots of really good and impressive examples of people who've grown churches and developed churches who've never had any formal theological education. I think what you find in the lives of those people, though, they are doing their theological education almost by themselves. They read widely, they engage with others, and so on. If you look biblically, the disciples hung around with Jesus for 3 years before they're kind of let loose in the world after Pentecost. Even Paul, he has this encounter with Christ, but it takes time to reflect on it. So I think training for ministry is vital, and I think that the nature of what we're doing in ministry is so important that it's not fair to say that anyone can do it. But would I say everyone needs to do a validated course? I'd love to say yes, but of course not. I suppose what I would say though is if we go to have a tooth taken out, would we rather have someone who's done a proper dental qualification or someone who's got a pair of pliers and a seen marathon run? We'd obviously prefer someone who knows what they're doing. So the ideal would be someone can do a good recognised course, but the quality of the course that's the key. It's not just having a letter after your name that doesn't really signify anything one way or the other. There are lots of people who are probably worthy of honorary degrees because they're doing the stuff, and that these days that's what really counts. And I guess then our challenge at ICC is to say, have we got the content that really kind of makes it worth people spending the time to come here, spending the money it costs to come here, we'd like to say yes, but we're always seeking to make it better. But yeah, there are lots of folk in really significant ministry opportunities and ministry positions who've not done the formal stuff. But they're welcome to come later.